Now, as the mist of doubt is gradually lifting from your eyes, I want you to slow down and realize that a new door is opening before you. It is not a door of noise, nor a path paved with the empty promises of the world, but a holy journey where you will not only hear about the truth, but live in that truth day by day. I am not calling you from afar like a cold echo across the vast sky. I am calling you as a father bending down beside his beloved child, placing his hand upon your shoulder, wiping away the marks of weariness, and saying that you no longer have to grope your way through the darkness. I am here, closer to you than your breath, closer than even the things you have not yet had the courage to reveal, closer than every concern that has ever made you silent through the long night. Before you knew how to call yourself by name, I knew you. Before you saw the first light of life, I placed within you distinct lines that no one else can replace. You are not a random appearance among the crowds, nor a wandering life thrown into the world without meaning. I have looked upon you with eyes of love from the very beginning. I knew the abilities you would carry, the places where you would be weak, the desires you would hide, the cracks that would hurt you, and even the seasons I would use to make you mature. Nothing within you is unnecessary, even the parts you once felt ashamed of, the limitations you once wanted to hide, the sensitivities that made you think you were too fragile. All of them can become material in my hands to create a life marked by heaven. You have had years of wondering what you were born for. There were times when you walked through life with an empty heart, watching others seem to know their direction clearly while you stood among crossroads covered in fog. There were times when you smiled outwardly while inwardly whispering heavy questions. Does my presence truly matter? Will what I have endured ever be turned into meaning? Do you truly see me among so many voices out there, my child? I have seen. I saw the tears you quickly wiped away so no one would notice. I saw the wordless prayers when all you could do was look up to heaven in silence. I saw even the nights when you were so exhausted that you no longer had words to explain, only a weary heart longing to be touched. And I tell you that no tear has ever fallen without being remembered by me in love. But my child, I do not only see your pain, I also see the seed hidden beneath that pain. I see within you a calling that has not been extinguished by seasons of confusion. I see a lamp still smoldering, even though the winds of life have blown fiercely many times. I see one being prepared not in comfortable palaces, but in quiet spaces that seemed forgotten. The years when you thought you were delayed were actually years when I was teaching you to listen. The seasons when you thought you were held back were actually seasons when I was deepening your roots within. When you were not recognized, I was preserving you from premature pride. When you had to stand alone, I was teaching you not to build your life on the applause of others, but on the lasting affirmation that comes from me. Remember Samuel when he was still a child serving in the temple, in a time when the divine word had become rare. Among adults who seemed familiar with rituals, yet were no longer as sensitive as before. I called a child in the night. Samuel did not immediately understand that call. He ran to Eli, thinking his teacher was calling him, but I patiently called again. Not once, but many times, until he learned how to respond before my presence. Do you see? Sometimes the calling begins very gently, so gently that you may easily mistake it for a passing feeling, a sudden thought, or a stirring with no clear origin. But when you know how to stop, how to listen, how to place your heart in obedience, that calling will become clearer. And like Samuel, you are also being taught to recognize my voice in the darkness of your age. Therefore, do not despise the things that are awakening within you. There are holy desires you once buried deeply because you feared you were not capable enough. There are good longings you once set aside because others did not understand. There are thoughts about living differently loving more deeply, serving more sincerely, and walking more uprightly, which you thought were only temporary emotions. But I am placing my hand upon those things. I am gathering the scattered pieces within you into an ordered picture. You have not yet seen the whole, but I have. You only see a few sketches, but I already know the final image. You see only broken portions, but I know how to join them into a road. What I am preparing for you does not necessarily begin with outward splendor. Often it begins with a hidden change. You no longer want to live superficially as before. No longer feel satisfied with the things that once distracted you. No longer are easily swept away by voices that make you forget your true worth. I will cause you to desire purity more than visibility, peace more than recognition, and walking in the right path more than moving quickly with the crowd. When that happens, do not resist it. It is a sign that I am drawing you closer, separating you from what no longer fits the new season, preparing you to carry a portion of heaven's light into the place where you live. You may ask yourself, if I am truly chosen, why was I once so weak? Why did I lose my way? Why did I have seasons when I no longer recognize myself? My child. Being chosen does not mean you have never stumbled. It means my hand still did not leave you, even when you passed through unsteady paths. I am not looking in you for a spotless past. I am looking for a heart that still knows how to return. I do not require you to understand all my plans today. I only invite you to believe that I can use even the things you thought were ruined to create something more beautiful. In my hands, a wound is no longer merely a mark of pain. It can become the place where light enters. And from there, the light spreads. So stop seeing yourself as someone standing on the sidelines of my plan. You are not a spectator in this holy story. You are the child I am calling, teaching, shaping, and sending one step at a time. Perhaps today you do not yet know how far you will go, but you can begin with faithfulness in small things. Be faithful in the way you think, in the words you speak, in the way you treat the weak, and in the private decisions no one witnesses. These small things will open the way for greater things. A life used by me is not formed in one dazzling moment, but built through every time you choose light when no one is watching. Choose trust when you have not yet seen the outcome, and choose obedience while your heart is still trembling. Now, let the old questions gradually lose their power over you. You do not need to prove to the world that you have worth. I placed that worth within you before anyone knew your name. You do not need to rush after a perfect image. I am working within you according to the rhythm of grace. Deeper, more enduring, and purer than what human eyes can judge. Step into this new journey with humility, but without fear. Let me open your eyes to the things that were once covered. Let me teach you to recognize meaning in the seasons that seemed meaningless. Let me turn past tears into streams of wisdom, waiting into a foundation, and silent years into a testimony that I never stopped preparing you. My beloved child, from today on, when you place your hand upon your heart and listen to life moving within you, remember that you are being preserved for a purpose, not a purpose for you to exalt yourself, but for you to reflect my kindness, righteousness, and light in the world. I will walk with you through every turn. I will remind you when you forget, lift you when you are tired, correct you when you drift, and comfort you when you hurt. The clouds have cleared not so that you may look back at the darkness behind you, but so that you may see the road ahead being illuminated. Walk forward, my child, not with haste, but with faith, not with fear, but with closeness to me. For what I have begun in you, I will continue to cultivate until the day it blooms in its proper season. Radiant, pure, and full of glory. My beloved child, in this quiet moment, I want you to stop rushing after the noises out there and return to the deepest place within your heart. Place your hand upon your chest, not as an empty ritual, but as a gentle reminder that your life is still being preserved by me through every heartbeat. Each beat is a mark of grace, a testimony that you have not been forgotten, not been abandoned, not been lost amid the many disturbances of life. I am nearer to you than the breath you have just inhaled, nearer than the worry you have not yet spoken aloud, nearer than even the dark corners you thought no one could enter. Listen, not with ears accustomed to hearing the voices of the world, but with gentle awareness in your mind and heart. For there are words I only whisper in stillness, and there are warnings I only send when you are willing to stop long enough to recognize them. What is stirring within you is not a passing emotion, nor a vague imagination. It is the bell I have placed within you to awaken you before small things become great chains. I do not awaken you so that you will panic, but so that your eyes will be opened. I do not warn you so that you will withdraw into suspicion, but so that you will know how to discern what comes from the light and what merely wears the garment of light while leading you away from peace within. There are dangers that do not come with a fierce roar, but through soft familiarity. There are turns in the road that do not immediately cause you to fall, but little by little make you careless, cold, and forgetful of the fact that you are called to live in purity and freedom. My child, not everything pleasant is good, and not everything reasonable in the eyes of the world is suitable for the path I have chosen for you. The storm I want you to recognize does not necessarily rise in the sky, nor does it always take the shape of a great event. It may begin with a thought you tolerate for too long, a habit you consider harmless, a relationship that causes you to exchange your peace for acceptance, or an invitation that seems gentle yet gradually pulls you away from uprightness. The enemy often does not enter your life in a form you immediately recognize. It may come through praise that makes you proud, through false comfort that weakens your heart, through opportunities that appear radiant but require you to lower the standards I have placed within you. It knows that if it forces you to fall quickly, you will resist. Therefore, it often chooses to make you grow accustomed to the shadows little by little, until you no longer see the difference between light and deception. But do not be afraid, for I do not tell you these things to cast a heavy shadow over your heart. I speak because I love you. A true father will not remain silent when he sees his child walking near the edge of a cliff. A true shepherd will not allow his sheep to wander without calling it back. I know you have a tender heart, but precisely because you are tender, you need wisdom so that you do not entrust your faith to every sweet voice. I know you long for love, but do not let that longing cause you to accept things that fade the holiness of your life. I know you want to live at peace with everyone, but true peace is never built through compromise with what is wrong. There are times when you must courageously say no, not because you are cold, but because you are guarding what I have entrusted to you. Remember the story of Josiah, the young king who ascended the throne when he was still very young, in the midst of a people accustomed to old patterns. Around him were false altars, habits normalized through many generations, and practices repeated for so long that people no longer saw how far they had drifted. But when the book of the law was found in my house and the holy word touched his heart, Josiah did not reassure himself that it was nothing serious. He did not say that because everyone was doing it. Perhaps it was not a grave matter. He allowed his heart to melt before the truth, then rose up to cleanse what had drawn the people away from the right path. Do you see? True wakefulness is not merely being moved for a moment, it is the courage to change, the willingness to clean what has been covered with dust, the return to the Holy Covenant, even when the whole world has grown accustomed to mixture. I am also calling you into such wakefulness, not noisy, not showy, but deep and enduring. Perhaps you need to look again at the things entering your mind each day, the voices you allow to influence your decisions, the habits you nurture when no one is watching, and the desires you hide because you know they are no longer as pure as they were at the beginning. I do not invite you to examine yourself so that you will condemn yourself, but so that you may be set free. My light does not come to shame you. It comes to show you where healing is needed, where something must be cut away, and where something must be rebuilt with truth. When you allow me to shine my light, the things that once silently bound you will lose their power over you. Do not take lightly the small signals within your heart. When you feel uneasy before an invitation, stop. When you recognize that something is pulling you away from purity, return. When you see yourself beginning to justify what you once knew was not right, let me remind you that wisdom often begins with a timely pause. Many people stumble not because they do not know the way of light, but because they ignore the early warnings. They call compromise flexibility, coldness of spirit maturity, and distance from me freedom. But my child, freedom is not doing whatever you want. True freedom is no longer being ruled by dark desires, no longer having to exchange peace for acceptance, no longer living under the authority of things that cause you to lose the beauty I have planted within you. Therefore, guard your heart like one who watches over the lamp in the holy temple. Do not let strange winds blow out that light. Do not let the dust of daily life cover the place where I have touched you. Return to sincere prayer, to pure silence, to small but enduring obedience each day. You do not need to do something great in order to begin again. Sometimes it is enough to turn off a toxic voice, leave a conversation that makes your heart heavy, refuse a choice that would cause you to lose your peace, or sit quietly before me and say, "Please lead me back." I hear those words. I treasure every step you take in returning. I rejoice when you choose the light, even if it is only through a silent decision that no one else knows. Beloved child, the storm may come in many forms, but you are not a child without refuge. I have placed within you the ability to recognize, and I have given you sensitivity to distinguish what nourishes life from what drains you within. Trust the guidance I am placing in you, but also remain humble so I can correct you when you take a wrong step. Do not fear walking away from what no longer belongs to the light. Do not fear losing things that only hold you through uncertainty. What I preserve for you is always better than what you must release. When you choose purity, you do not lose joy. You are opening the way for a deeper, more enduring, and holier joy to enter your life. Now, breathe slowly and receive my peace. I do not demand that you become perfect in one day, but I invite you to become watchful from today onward. Let your heart be tender before my reminders, strong before temptation, clear before deception, and settled in the love of the Father who always preserves you. I will not let you walk in confusion if you still desire to hold my hand. I will guide you through every decision, every relationship, every turning point, when the noise of the world becomes sweet and dangerous. I will call you with a voice gentler but truer, when darkness wears the garment of peace to deceive you. I will light within you a lamp that does not go out. Be watchful, my beloved child, not in fear, but in trust, not in tension, but in closeness to me. For the one who stays near me will not be swept away by the invisible storm, but will stand firm like a tree planted beside the waters of life, green, upright, and full of light. Perhaps you have thought that you were only trying to survive each day, but in my eyes, you are being trained through a very precious endurance. Trials do not come to destroy you, nor do they come to prove that you are weak. They are like a refining fire that makes the pure gold I placed within you long ago shine more brightly. pain may slow you down, but it has no right to define you. The doubtful words of others may echo in your ears, but they cannot erase the calling I have placed upon your life. The times when you thought you had lost your way, I was still quietly placing small signs along the road so that you would not fall out of the embrace of my guidance. You thought at times that I was silent, but in truth, I was standing nearer than you imagined, preserving you from things you had not yet recognized. I know you have had to be strong in many circumstances when your heart only wanted to be soft. You have had to make courageous choices when there was no one holding your hand and explaining every step. You have stood amid doubt, among eyes that did not understand, among words that wounded you, and yet you still did not abandon the upright path. You are not perfect, but you are sincere. You do not know everything, but you still want to walk in the light. That is what delights my heart. I am not proud of you because you have never stumbled. I am proud because, after every shaking, you still turn back toward me. I am not pleased because you are always strong. I am pleased because even when you are weary, you still allow faith to keep you from sinking. Remember Gideon, the man who once hid in a winepress out of fear while his people lived under heavy oppression. In his own eyes, he was small, lacking confidence, unqualified to do anything great. He looked at his family background, his limitation, his fear, and concluded that he could not. But I did not see him according to the way he saw himself. I called him by the name of courage before he felt courageous. I saw a deliverer in a trembling man. I did not wait for him to become strong before using him. I came to him right where he was hiding, right in the middle of his sense of unworthiness, and step by step taught him to believe that true strength does not begin with confidence in oneself, but begins with my presence. My child, that story is speaking to you as well. Do not measure your future by today's weariness. Do not draw conclusions about your calling based only on the moments when you feel small. Those around you may not understand why you still persevere. Some look at you through old mistakes. Some remember only when you were weak. And some do not recognize how much you have had to fight to keep your heart from hardening. But I see the whole picture. I see every step where you chose forgiveness instead of bitterness. Every time you were silent, not because you were cowardly, but because you wanted to preserve peace. Every decision where you refused the easy road in order to protect what is pure within your heart. Do not let the misunderstanding of others make you doubt the value I have placed in you. You do not need the whole world to acknowledge you in order to stand firm. As long as you know that I am calling you, supporting you, and working within you, you already have a foundation that nothing can shake. There are trials that have hurt you, but at the same time, they have taught you discernment. There are losses that made you cry, but they also freed you from bonds that no longer nourished your peace. There are doors that closed and made you think you were rejected, but later you will understand that they were loving protection. I do not waste your tears. I do not allow dark seasons to pass merely as meaningless wounds. I am gathering everything, both the things you want to forget and the things you still cannot name, to turn them into wisdom, compassion, and gentle strength within you. One day, the very place where you once hurt will become the place where you know how to lift others with deeper tenderness. So, my precious child, do not be quick to blame yourself for the times you are tired. Do not assume that a passing doubt is proof that you lack faith. Faith is not always a loud song on the mountaintop. Often, faith is only a small step in the night, a weak whisper saying that you still want to hold my hand. I do not despise that small step. I cherish it. I know you have gone farther than you realize. I know you have overcome things that once frightened you. I know there are battles that, if others could see them, they would understand why you need so much comfort. But even if no one understands fully, I understand, and my understanding is enough to hold you in the days when you no longer know how to explain yourself. There are seasons in life when you think you are walking alone through a long and dark valley. Responsibilities pile upon your shoulders like heavy stones. The expectations of others surround you like fog, and your heart only longs for a place where it can breathe without having to explain. I know, many times you have wondered why you always have to be the understanding one. Always the one who gives way. Always the one who stands firm while inside you already wanted to collapse. But my child, your gentleness is not a weakness, and your weariness is not a failure. It is only a sign that you have passed through too much, given too much, loved too deeply, to the point that you yourself need to be brought back to the source of peace I have prepared for you. I am not far from you as you once feared. I do not come only when you are good enough, strong enough, bright enough, or worthy enough. I come right when you are troubled, right when you do not know what to pray for, right when all you can do is sit still and silently wish someone understood you. My presence does not need thunder to be recognized. Sometimes I come through a stillness that makes you tremble less, through a gentle thought that helps you not give up, through someone suddenly checking on you, through a peaceful afternoon that reminds you that you are still loved. Do not take these small things lightly, because my hand often touches your life through quiet signs that only a listening heart can recognize. You have grown so used to caring for others that you forgot to ask whether you yourself are okay. You have grown used to being a lamp for many people, while letting the oil within your own heart slowly run low. I do not blame you for the love you have given. I delight in such kindness. But I also do not want you to lose the peace I have given you simply because you think rest is selfish. A field, no matter how fertile, still needs a season of lying still so the soil can be restored. A stream, no matter how clear, still needs a source to feed it in order to keep flowing. And you, my precious child, also need to be cared for, comforted, and brought back to peace, so that what you give will no longer come from exhaustion, but from fullness in grace. Remember the prophet Elijah on the day he fled beneath the broom tree, so weary that he no longer wanted to continue. He had once been strong, had stood before great things, had witnessed power from heaven, and yet there came a time when he was worn out, lonely, and afraid. I did not blame him for being weak, nor did I immediately command him to rise and do something great. First, I let him sleep. Then I fed him with bread and water. After that, I led him to a place of stillness, not to punish him, but to help him recognize that my voice is not only heard in great fire or strong wind, but can also come in a gentle whisper. Do you see? Even those entrusted by me with great work need rest, need nourishment, need to be brought out of the noise to hear my tenderness again. So do not despise your own need for rest. What you are carrying does not escape my sight. The worries you do not speak, the pressures you hide behind an ordinary appearance, the questions you ask in the night when no one is beside you. I know them all. I do not stand outside watching you struggle, nor do I leave you to bandage your wounds with the last of your strength. I am bending down close to you, like a father placing his hand upon the shoulder of a trembling child, saying, "You do not need to carry everything alone anymore. There are things you must return to me, not because you are powerless, but because you are loved. There are doors that will not open through your tension, but through trust. There are battles that are not won because you try a little harder, but because you know how to hide yourself in my covering. Therefore, allow yourself to slow down without condemning yourself. Let your day have space for breath, for thanksgiving, for holy silence. Do not let the voice of duty drown out the gentle call of peace. You can love others and still know how to set healthy boundaries. You can help without carrying their entire life upon your shoulders. You can be generous while still preserving the strength I have given you. Maturity is not enduring until you are completely exhausted. Maturity is knowing when to place the burden in my hands and trust that I am still working even when you rest. I want you to understand that your worth is not found in the number of tasks you complete, the number of people you please, or how many times you try to appear okay. You were precious before you did anything at all. You are loved even when you are tired. You are preserved even when you have not yet found the answer. I call you my child not because you are always strong, but because my love chose to embrace you before you knew how to stand firm. Today, let this word soak into your heart like gentle rain entering dry ground. Let the places hardened by pain become soft again. Let the parts that have not been comforted for a long time begin to receive light. Then you will see that when you return to me in stillness, new strength will not come noisily, but will grow gradually like dawn spreading over the mountaintops. You will no longer walk only by weary willpower, but by a faith that is supported. You will learn how to give without losing yourself, love without being emptied, and serve without forgetting to be cared for. I am teaching you a new rhythm of life, the rhythm of grace, where you do not have to run after every voice, meet every expectation, or prove that you are worthy of love. You only need to remain near me. Open your heart and allow me to restore the places that have been worn down. Beloved child, hear me in this moment. You are not left behind, not forgotten, not overlooked. The heavy days are not the end, but the place where I begin to renew you from within. Lay down what is too much for you. Breathe slowly and let your heart be warmed in my presence. I will lead you step by step, without haste, without force, without distance. When you are weak, I will be the strength that lifts you. When you lose your way, I will be the light. When you are tired, I will be the place where you rest your head. And when you think you have nothing left to give, I will remind you that before you become a source of comfort for anyone else, you have always been the child I love without measure.